Hello there, welcome to another episode of the Allotment Dram. This is a series of short videos where we sit in the surroundings of our North London allotment and talk about different whiskies. Join me today on what's been a lovely mid-October afternoon, quite warm, got that autumnal freshness to it. Been a little bit breezy but absolutely lovely, virtually no one up here as well, so really enjoyable time and meant I've got a lot of work done. But of course I am here to talk about whiskey and what is the allotment dram today, I hear you ask. And it's quite different actually today because I've picked a whiskey that I've never actually tasted and also that I don't really know much about, and it is the Weller 12 years old, and this is what's called a wheated bourbon, and it's made at the Buffalo Trace distillery in Frankfort, Kentucky. And as I say, never tried it before. As you can see, the bottle has not been opened, so we've recently received this as a gift, so really thought it would be perfect the first time to try it would to be with you at the allotment here. So what can I tell you about it? And what is a wheated bourbon? Firstly, it's named after William LaRue Weller, who was one of the sort of forefathers of the early pioneers of the bourbon industry in Kentucky. And as I say, made at Buffalo Trace. Now it's owned by the Sazerac company. But what is a wheated bourbon? It's not a term that we ourselves are particularly familiar with. Of course, bourbon has to be 51% corn, but then your other 49% can be made up of what's called the flavour grains, so to speak. This is normally wheat or rye, and then you also have a little bit of malted barley as well. So all in different percentages. So what you get with a wheated bourbon is a particularly high proportion of that 49% being wheat. So you still have to have your 51% corn, otherwise you can't call it a bourbon. But you can then have as much as you want of the other 49% with wheat, and plus a small percentage of malted barley in this particular case as well. So wheat tends to give you a slightly gentler, softer, quite flavoursome set of aromas and compounds within a whiskey, whereas something like rye is a little bit spicier, a little bit more forceful, a little bit more robust. So other famous wheated bourbons, we've certainly tried the Maker's Mark and Pappy Van Winkle, but also there's Old Fitzgerald and Larceny, particularly if you're in the States. They're particularly sort of well known and well liked. So without further ado, I think we should try this. This is bottled at 45% ABV or 90 proof as it's measured in the States, and essentially proof is the old system developed in America for measuring alcohol, and it's still used in the American industry. It's essentially the ABV times 2. That's the easiest way to remember it. So as I say, I'm going to crack the bottle open. That's not a cork, which is our favourite sound, but that's not far off. So here we are. Let's we'll just pop that down for a second. Just pop the lid on because we don't want any accidents, of course. But what have we got here? Let's have a smell, shall we? Wow, this just leaps out of the glass. There's so much sort of vanilla. There's some honey, almost like sort of toffee. Then there's I'm getting loads of coconut and like slightly bitter orange peel here as well. And then there's this sort of earthy, slightly sort of spicy quality sort of in there. It's just sort of underlying really. So let's have a taste. Wow, that is extremely, excuse me, extremely flavoursome. It's really got this sort of layers of flavour. First of all, I'm getting that sort of bitter orange. It's like an orange oil, something like that. But then there's lots of vanilla. You tend to get lots of vanilla and honey, toffee, butterscotch, these types of flavours. Quite sweet flavours in bourbons, but also there's some quite warming spices. There's just like a little bit of ginger and cinnamon, and let's have another taste. Yeah, it's almost like a nutty, slightly toasted oak, a charred oak sort of feel, and that kind of grips the side, but it is quite soft. The wheat has, is softer than I think of a lot of American whiskies, bourbons from Kentucky or elsewhere that I've tried. So yeah, just quite juicy, particularly that orangey note is really quite delicious actually. But yeah, absolutely fabulous. I mean, I certainly recommend searching out a bottle. To be honest, as I say, it was a gift, so I'll have to check up on what the price of this is, but certainly very flavoursome. I can imagine that going really well in like an old-fashioned or a Manhattan one of those classic sort of bourbon cocktails there. But yeah, just a lovely structure and depth to it. But yeah, absolutely delicious. So yeah, from myself, these very noisy parrots which are flying overhead, again, they always seem to join me sort of this time, sort of later in the evening. Plus, of course, the Weller 12 years olds. Bid you farewell. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again very soon. Cheers now.